There was a build-up of events that is outlined in this report that began particularly around Australia Day, where there was an expectation based on rumour that there was supposed to be some form of amnesty that would take place on Australia Day. These reports and rumours were obviously false and had no basis to them whatsoever. There were rumours that were circulated that report refers to that were given some encouragement by media reporting here in Australia about any potential changes to policy and things of that nature. There was orchestrated protest activity that commenced from that time of Australia Day. This was coordinated between compounds with a daily ritual of activity and chanting and various other non-violent activity over the course of that period. But it did include, in the report notes, that there were reports by transferees of intimidation by transferees by other transferees seeking to press them into being involved in protest activity. Demands were made about getting answers to various questions in relation to the matters that I've actually noted on the causes that are identified by Mr Cornell. Those responses were provided at a special meeting on the 16th of February, as I understand. Those answers did not placate the transferees at the centre. The answers had not changed from anything that they knew previously, and that particularly went to the core proposition that people would not be coming to Australia. Their claims would be assessed in Papua New Guinea, and if found to be a refugee, they would be resettled there. There was intelligence that was being received throughout the centre, which highlighted the fact that there was a growing tension within the centre. And I note in particular the intelligence report noted here at page 35 of this report of 12 February, which says information was also reported from staff in Oscar compound that suggests transferees will target expat staff with violence on 16, 17 and 18 February. If information suggests that they intend to arm themselves and inflict violence, additionally, they intend to breach the fence line to execute an outcome as yet to be determined. Moreover, they intend to coordinate a series of code calls at the allotted time of the alleged escalation to offset staff across a number of compounds. The information suggests that they are well aware of the police special task force and that the thought of being engaged with lethal force doesn't bother them. There is urgent work underway to establish the bona fides of this information, and that intelligence is referred to by Mr Cornell. Precautionary measures were taken, and they are referred to in the report, not in addition to the fact that 130 additional expat security staff were sent to Manus before the incident in response to the request by G4S to my department, and warrants being executed to search for various contraband and potentially weapons that may have been being fashioned. In addition to that, it says that there was a strengthening of intelligence collection. Fire crews were trained in firefighting techniques and first aid fire response. Wheelie bins were emptied of rubbish every hour to prevent them being used as mobile fire containers. Those who are familiar with the Christmas Island incident, the Nara incident, would be well aware of the reason for that. All but essential storage containers were taken away from the site. The contents of the property and trust container were secured on the bibby or elsewhere. Only 6 essential and immediately needed vehicles were kept outside the centre. The ambulance at the medical clinic, 2 fire vehicles and 3 four-wheel drive vehicles. The incident response teams practiced deploying to pre-arranged locations around the centre in groups of 8, 16 or 32. Unsuccessful attempts were made to coordinate with the PNG Provincial Police, and unnecessary files and items were to be removed from the administration buildings, and staff prepared for emergency evacuation if it became necessary. And other matters are noted in the report. The events themselves of those terrible nights, and I want to stress that these events took place over 2 nights, not one. When you read this report, you'll be more familiar with the events that occurred on the second night, and of course the terrible death of Mr Berati. But on the previous night, there was some significant violence that also occurred, and there was another individual who was very fortunate to be alive, who could have easily been the victim of another very serious incident when his throat was cut from one side to the other, but it didn't sever or cut any essential arteries or anything of that nature, and it proved, fortunately, to just be a superficial wound, although there was a lot of blood. at the time.